face it, right? Currently, everything is about digital transformations, digital change, everything.
Don't say
Everything digital.
Industry 4.0 on this show. Don't do it. I will ban you. I will ban you if it comes out of your mouth.
Can I say agile?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening to the folks over on the other side of the world. I am Jake Harrell. I am the host and only host of a quality podcast. If there was another guy you were expecting to see, you're not getting him today.
And we are banning him.
Yeah, we're already, he's banned. He's good. He joined Baba Miliani, banned from the lean community. No, he's out today on personal stuff, and I'm texting him every 5 minutes anyways. So all positive. So who we have with us today, we are bringing back Mr. Albert Mr. Albert, why don't you start with giving us the last name correctly?
Okay. So thank you, Jake, for having me again. My last name is actually mentioned by Oktovianus, but if Octo is okay. Just call me Albert.
Sounds like 8, right? Albert 8.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay. Albert 8. I like it. I like it. For folks that didn't watch you the first time around on the show, why don't you give us a little bit about who you are, what you do?
Okay. Currently, what I do is actually I'm just changing job from the last podcast. Currently, I'm the head of HR SSG. It's called the Human Resource of the System Services and Governance in one of the multinational insurance company. Because previously I was in the consulting industry, and now I'm moving back into the corporate area. And you all can check out my LinkedIn profiles for more details there. Well, my background comes actually this is the thing that connecting me to Jake and John in this podcast, because my background consists of the more into the industrial engineer, quality management, but somehow along the way I'm moving on into the HR, but still bringing my industrial engineer backgrounds and quality management backgrounds into the HR part. So yeah, hopefully that will add value to this podcast also.
I like the dojo behind you today. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, okay, cool. So I'm using this background currently because this dojo actually part of my hobby as Aikidoka. So I did Aikido, and then it actually represents a mental state, not only my martial art, but also mental state of being like the dojo mindset. So you always come into dojo with the mindset as a beginner, and then you always want to learn everything and improve yourself. So this is something that again, continuous improvements, everything in everything that you do.
Embarrassing secret about Jake. When I feel like I'm out of focus, I go and I watch IP Man on Netflix. I've watched that movie 1,000 times. That is my favorite movie of all time. And if I'm ever feeling just out of it, I watch it, and the whole time, still mind, I'm like, like I'm the one fighting people, I guess. But it does, for whatever weird reason, put me in this focused state of I'm going to go back to work from the beginning, from zero, right? Reset from zero. Yeah. I'm going to learn. I'm going to reobserve. I'm going to reapply what I can.
So, well, yeah, interesting that you're mentioning about Ip Man, right? Because the martial art is called Wing Chun, right? And then when you say about focus, it's right on point, because Wing Chun evolves around the center, right? So everything you did have to be on the center. So the movement, everything else, I think that's the one that brings your your mindset into the focus again, into the center. So yeah, I think that's one thing that you give your perspective, new perspective on that movie.
I love it for just the thing with him is like humility is the center of the practice, right?
Yeah.
So it's like I'm not better than anybody. It's not a challenge to be better than everybody, which was completely opposite all of the old school martial artists of the time. That was like the claw way, the crane way, where they're all fighting each other to say mine's the best kung fu. No, mine is the best kung fu. It's like the best didn't largely matter as long as I treated people with respect and I set
Yeah.
out to wake up and act with discipline on improving my craft. And that's what speaks to me so much.
Agree on that. But when you're talking about kung fu and you start the claw, you have to be more specific. Which claw? Is it the eagle claw, the tiger claw? And
Yeah, there's 100 claws, right? So you mentioned in the
yeah.
notes to sign up on the show a fantastic topic I would love to get to, and that is change fatigue, which I don't
Yep.
see a whole lot out in the world. I'll tell you, I've personally experienced it with any length of time in any job I've ever had. Is my job is to bring about change, right? Systematically, programmatically. So I'm at the center of it. So if anybody suffers change fatigue more than anyone, it's me. And then from job to job, I find myself doing a whole lot of the same thing over and over and over and over again with these simple, like short, I won't say short-sighted, I don't mean anything negative, but an inefficient mode of operating. And there's always a clearly defined efficient mode that's well known and out there in the world, but somehow that information didn't get to that site. And here I am giving the same training to adjust the same behaviors, to move in the same direction. And quite frankly, that just gets old. So why don't you give us your thoughts on change fatigue, what it is, and then we can dive into how do we fight that?
Okay. So yeah, you're on point on that, Jake. I mean, like, change fatigue is something that is real, but too bad is the awareness of change fatigue is not really something that being posted frequently on LinkedIn. Like I told you before, that I posted around a couple of years ago, but that's it, because I don't think it's becoming have many good receptions and good replies, everything else. So, but this change fatigue, why is it real? Because as a, well, me coming as a change management practitioner, right? This is something that I experience also, maybe the same as you, like running projects and running trainings and everything that related to change initiative, and then how we're going to manage it. But it's actually happening not only for the practitioners, but also happening to the the objects
Yeah, the
of the
people that
change
actually
initiative.
have to
Yeah, the
change.
people. Yeah, I mean, like we discussed previously, I mean, it's happening in all levels, in every roles, in every kind of change initiative. And when I mention change initiative, it's actually even the small things, right? Because not only the major, like the system changes or like the whole process, the whole policies, everything changes. No, but only the small changes also. So for me, change fatigue is mostly like when you get hit or you experience changes, either it's minor or major, but you experience it repetitively and in a very short terms, and the frequency is overwhelming, then you will get hit by change fatigue. And no matter what are the triggers, no matter what kind of changes that you experience it, and then uh, there are several symptoms that you might recognize, but I mean the unfortunately sometimes you cannot you recognize it after it happens, after you experience it. So that's the thing about change fatigue.
I was just in unrelated but still somehow related. Over the weekend, I was just planning something romantic for the missus and I rearranged the whole living room and I put in our tent. This is a tent we go camping with, right in the middle of it, so I could put some. I even posted a shot about it that had some flowers on the
Oh,
ground and some
okay.
candles.
Yeah, yeah.
As I put that together, one thing I noticed was my dogs, my two little chihuahuas, were absolutely freaking out. And I'm thinking to myself, this doesn't affect them in any way. I'm not touching them, asking them to do anything different. But that small change in their environment did drastically impact them in a way. And it really got me thinking on this subject as well. Like, even though it had no impact, it didn't change their behaviors, the way they had to act, anything. The fact that I changed their environment in and of itself invokes some sort of fatigue, some sort of stressor on them, right? And that's what we're doing as change practitioners in the world every single day. So one, like, how do we identify it? And two, what can we do differently to be cognizant of like change fatigue in the workplace?
Yeah. Okay. So, interesting points about your Chihuahua. I mean, like they're the most meanest dog ever.
Mhm. They're great. They've been half of my LinkedIn content over the years, right? Like
Yeah.
every like 10 or 12 posts, I'll be like, oh, and here's my dog doing nothing
It's a,
today.
yeah, actually, I love all kind of dogs. I mean, I love dogs. So, regardless it's Chihuahua or Pit Bull, right? I mean, like you mentioned about chance fatigue. Yeah, I mean, your is it from your side, from your perspective, you didn't do anything. You
Mhm.
didn't change anything. I mean, this is your thing, right? With the flowers, everything, the plants. But you never know that your Chihuahua may be experiencing something several times in that day, in the same day. That you never know, right? And then when you're changing the environment a little bit, it's like the tipping point for them.
Mhm.
Well, right. It's the same, right? I mean, for our users or like the people experience change and the ones that actually bringing the change or leading the change agent or change practitioner or the users. So the key is like the frequency of the change, right? So if I can give an analogy, imagine that you're holding a spoon, right? A spoon. I don't
Mhm.
have any spoon near me, but you can imagine a spoon or a fork or anything like, or a knife, but it's too dangerous for that.
I was
So
checking. I
imagine this.
usually always have a fork nearby. I'm never far from a fork, but I don't have one in
Yeah,
arm's reach.
but please use the metal one, not the plastic ones, because it's fast food. So the spoon, the metal spoon, imagine that. If you try to bend the spoon like one time, two times, might be hard, right? Because I know you're strong enough, Jake, but not for me, because I have to bend. Okay, stop with the flexing, man. I'm feeling like I'm feeling inferior here. So you try to bend the spoon, right? One time, two time. Sometimes it's quite hard. But like if you give your effort and then you repetitively bending the spoon up and down, at one point it will break, right? So we're talking like in engineering, we have like the material strength, right? The
Mhm.
tensile and durability. It's the same. I mean, like sense fatigue, it can happen. Imagine that you're the spoon, like you're hit by these forces of change repetitively, and then the forces might maybe it's like weaker, but maybe stronger, but repetitively. Then at one point it will break also.
It's
So
beautiful that the
yeah,
engineering is so like it does apply. When every time I
mm,
think through like a mental analogy or metaphor, it just applies. Like the universe is so great in that way that you can like have material tensile strength, and it is exactly a function of
yeah.
change management and fatigue associated. So how do you go about in your daily life identifying it?
Okay, so I have to separate between the daily life between my professional and the personal, right? I
Mhm.
mean, in professional wise, sometimes it's a little bit easier in your workplace or in your professional life because sometimes you can recognize it after, not even before, because you're thinking like, okay, I'm doing these changes every day. Sorry, I'm leading these changes, this change initiative every day. But at one point, your users, the people who are impacted by the changes, might complain to you, right? So that's like the very first, the early warnings, like the complaints, everything else, like the user said. That's the first one. The second one is actually maybe you can use like the heat map schedule.
Mhm.
So it's like if the same user have like several meetings about different projects in one day, then your heat map will become red, right? It's like the dashboard of the schedule. So that might impact them. So like I told you, it's a little bit easier in the professional settings because sometimes you have the tools, everything else,
Mhm.
but you just might need to dig deeper on the tools. But in your personal life, sometimes it's harder because well, like you experienced your Chihuahua, right? You never experience. Sometimes you don't have somebody to tell you.
Yeah, you
complaining
never
to you,
know
right?
exactly what's going
Yeah.
through somebody's head, what they're feeling, what their thoughts are. It can make total perfect sense to them, and it's alien to me. And I've actually seen that a lot at work. Where I see somebody's upset with X or Y. Of course, I don't know why. I just assume that their spouse and them got into an argument before they got here, because that's what happens in my house.
Yeah.
But I don't
Okay.
honestly know as I walk in through the door where somebody's head is and what is the last straw. So
Yeah.
signs are kind of hard to test for, right?
Yeah. I mean, we're not mind readers, right? Well, maybe John, but not us, I think.
The whole audience is getting some change fatigue. There's no John today.
Okay. Another analogy, right? I mean, like this is something they experience. I mean, maybe you heard about about Jakarta, about Indonesia. I mean, like one of our proudest moment is like when the tourists or like people outside of Jakarta, outside of Asia, actually telling us that, oh, I know about Jakarta. Why? Because it's like the biggest parking space in Asia. I said,
The biggest parking space?
yeah. I mean, like, okay, why? Yeah, because like when you drive there, I mean, like the car rarely move because the traffic jam is like yeah, okay. It's almost the point that we measure our distance not by miles of kilometers here, but we measure actually by time. So like no matter it's like in 1 kilos or 2 kilos, 5 kilos, 50 kilos, sometimes you measure by time, because sometimes going in the 5 kilos, going into like the 50 kilometers is actually the same, or like the 5 miles or 50 miles. Sometimes the time is the same. So that's why you should better. So it's like that's why it's biggest parking space, right? Now, why I'm the context of this, because sometimes you have to make decisions in the split second on
Mm-hmm.
which route that you're going to take. I mean, Google Map. Sorry, can I mention brand here?
Yeah, go for it. Google Maps. If you're Apple Maps, get the hell out of here, because this is a Google Maps conversation.
Yeah, sorry, Apple. I mean, so actually, using Google, I mean, it's good, right? But sometimes because, as you know, the lag and then the signal is not that strong, everything else, and then your Wi-Fi is like dropping down. So there's a lag between decision making in Google Maps. Like, and when the map say like turn right 5 meters in 5 minutes, not 5 minutes, in 5 meters turn right 5 meters, and then like, it's only wait the turn is already I already passed it. So you have to make split second decision, and imagine that you have to make that almost every day, even every day you're commuting to work, because currently the offices even okay before pandemic, but now in offices are opening, right?
Mhm.
So it in that split second, and imagine that you are repetitively doing that for every 1 hour, like several times, going back from home, going to work, everything else, it can uh, impact it to your mental health, and it can become the trigger of change fatigue, right? Because you
Mhm.
did it effectively, it's change, right? It's minor change. Sometimes you don't realize it's change because you did it every day, but then like it happens. I mean, like just at just one point, you just like stop and then stop in the car and then just wishing like, oh, I hope my office get explode or like burn down.
Why do as like nice and positive as the internet is, everybody has had that thought. Literally everyone. Like just asteroid. That would be so much better than actually driving to work today.
Or like a dinosaur or Godzilla.
Yes, everybody's got a made up grandma. It's like she passed away. I can't come in today. I can't do it.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah. I mean, you're not realizing, but it's because you change your decision. You make the decision every day, and you experience this change in minor change, micro changes, but it's every day. The frequency is adding up, adding up, adding up, and then at one point you just like break. So that's change fatigue. one of the things in your personal life that might happen.
I love it. Like every experience that goes through your head in a day is trying to like Aikido you into submission, right? And willpower is a finite resource, right? You can only fight so much before you bend, you break, you pop. So like what I've found, and I'd like to see like your strategy or tools, but when I enter a place, the first thing I do is one, not change anything. And then two, I have a detailed plan for a measured response to how I'm going to change things. We might change one thing a month. We might change one thing a quarter. And there's always a CEO, a board, a C-suite somewhere that says, well, I need these 50 things done. Well, stop. That does not work. By the time you get through those 50 things, there will be 50 more things. And all you're going to be doing is being a reactionary ping pong of let's do this project, now that project. Just change one thing for the quarter that affects the business positively, and you're far better off, right?
Yeah. Well, okay. So I think wherever you are in the world, there's always that kind of CEO. The same thing for. Okay, so that's a very good example, Jake. I mean, okay, so one of the things that the strategy to prevent the chest fatigue or like to handle chest fatigue is what you say is prioritization, right?
Mm-hmm.
You try to prioritize which one that it's not as easy as it sounds, because like everybody can say try to prioritize that. No, because
and some
like
objects are shiny, right? Like, ooh, I want to move to that. Yeah.
And then like people are saying like, hey Albert, just do the low hanging fruit and then just do the quick wins. Like, okay, but how quick is the quick? I mean, every have different, like how low is the fruit? How low is low at the fruit?
Yeah, specific to that analogy, right? No matter how low your fruit is, once you grab it, there will still be a lowest fruit on that tree. Right? No matter how many times you do this until you're all out of fruit, there will always still be a lowest. So the analogy like really illustrates like stop.
I mean, at one project, I mean, like I'm like giving myself a mental note, like if I hear another people saying like low hanging fruit, I will take the foot, I will slap this foot into the face.
Take this 30-second clip and make them watch it, right? Like there's another low hanging fruit. Always, this is how physics works.
Yeah. So anyway, but actually that's the thing, right? First of all, is prioritization. That's supposed to be the one. But the second part, besides that, to make it work, besides prioritizing, you have to have a milestones. Now, these are the things that people tend to forget when you managing change or like in any kind of change initiative. Sometimes you don't have a milestones. I mean, like this is something like in change management, the father of change management, like John P. Cotter, saying that why you have a milestone? Because you need to celebrate every little achievement that you achieve, right? But also after that, prioritizations, milestones, but in the end, you have to freeze the change first. So this is also something that people tend to forget because, okay, let's face it, right? Currently, everything is about digital transformations, digital change, everything.
Don't say Industry 4.0 on this show. Don't do it. I will ban you. I will ban you if it comes out of your mouth.
Can I say agile?
Industry 3.9, ladies and gentlemen.
Web 2.9 is okay.
Give me one spot. I don't know how many jobs you've had in your career. Give me one spot that still doesn't use an Excel spreadsheet. How are we Industry 4.0 if everyone is still using an Excel spreadsheet to make all their decisions? Come on.
Well, currently I'm leading a project, like a small project in my team for the HR analytics, right? And our first tools, you can guess it, right? It's Excel.
Yes. Industry 4.0. And you know what? These tier one super solutions, you know what they do? They produce really good Excel documents when you click buttons. Come on, man. This is the future.
Actually, Jake, it's true. It's 4.0, right? Because the Excel is actually in the cloud. so you can collaborate on that Excel documents in the cloud base. So it's actually for okay. So anyway,
Excel 4.0.
except for anyway, going back into Chesapeake, yeah, I mean, imagine that people are talking about agility in digital information, right? So like sometimes a corporate, a company, organization are like 10 years ago, 5 years ago even, they are creating a roadmap for 5 years roadmap, 3 years roadmap. But currently when I was still in the consulting industry, they don't want that. They want like, okay, give me 1 year roadmap, even like 3 months roadmap. Like, there's not a roadmap. There's like highway. It's like speed highway.
Yeah.
It's not even roadmap.
Give me a 30-minute roadmap to getting this done.
Yeah, but they don't have a night because like they have to like change like fastly with agility, flexibility, everything. Now, these are the things that actually why change fatigue can become more common today than like maybe 5 years ago, and people didn't realize it because like okay, you have initiative. First of all, there are several initiatives. Like I said, 50 change initiative. They have to be done parallelly, right? Okay, but if you don't have that kind of capability, that resource, any kind of resource, like human resources, time, money, material resources, even mental resources, you will experience fatigue. That's why you have to prioritize. But second, you have to also acknowledge the milestones, right? But most of all, the most important thing is like you have to freeze the change. You have to freeze the change at least at some point. You have to freeze the change first, and then you have to take step back and take a look again. Okay, am I the world is changing again? My competitor is changing again. Do I want to unfreeze this change, or like I make another change? So this is something that sometimes it's forgotten. Like, and then I can feel it that way because currently I'm there's a governance in my role title, right? So governance can it's like after like okay in process improvement, right? Sometimes even people doesn't realize that it's actually not improvement, it's actually re-engineering. So the leap is quantum leap. I mean like after it happens, the impact have a massive impact, then they say, oh, okay, that's not improvement, that's actually re-engineering. Yeah, where have you been, man? I mean, like, I'm sorry. After it happened, after the impact, it's like, and then sometimes the impact, the process re-engineering, it changes your policies, right? Your policies until the core, the policies, and then you have to take out the policies, you have to scrap the policies, you have to create new policies, right? And then but after the policies is being recreated, being designed, redesigned of the policies as affected by the process engineering, you have to freeze their policies. That's what the policies and governance are for. You have to freeze the changes. You take a step back and then look, and then you try to implement it, like at least 3 months or 6 months, and saying that okay, is it working? But sometimes after even not 3 months, after 1 month, and then user are complaining and they are saying that oh it's not working, your new process is not working, your new system not working, and then people are being anxious, the project manager, the leaders being anxious, like, hey, wait a minute, our users are like screaming and then complaining, so they're being anxious and then being like because maybe they have like have to save the project, everything else, and then they just change everything again. Sometimes it's like less than 1 month, less than 3 months. So it's
right at its final, like I hate that what they call projects after they reviewed them and they're done. They have a term for that here that's kind of illuminating, and they call that a post-mortem. They go back and look at what something is, but literally that means after it's dead.
I know. I mean, like postmortem. Yeah.
Like so we really need a time we have to have a standard, and it be standardized and well understood, like you coined it, frozen, before we do anything else. And people have this, I don't know if it's like a fear of security or it's a lack of confidence, but even if you do the project completely right, they'll get all the way to that finish line, just like you said, and then they'll want to change something. They'll get all the way to the end, like, no, we'll do this instead. Like, stop it. I've experienced that at every project I've ever touched, period, full stop.
it's happened. I mean, like that's why. Regardless, your well, I have to make a note, or like I have to emphasize on that postmortem part. Yes, it's already dead. So why?
Yes, let's
I'm,
analyze what didn't happen after it's already dead. Like our language is so hilarious that way, right? Like we literally are. It's just good. Oh, and if you didn't know, Albert, since we're just
yeah,
throwing out brands,
yeah,
today's is unofficially sponsored by Red Bull. Red Bull, if you don't reach out, I'll tell the world what a piece of shit this drink is.
okay,
And if you do reach out, delicious.
okay,
Mm.
cool. Hopefully,
My Red Bull deal. I'm gonna get rich. It's coming.
well, I was told that if you drink like minimum 10 cans of Red Bull in 1 hour, you can see rainbows in everywhere.
That makes a lot of sense because you look very shiny today.
Okay, thank you.
There
This
we
is the
go.
filter, the
We'll
filter in
get
my
you
phone.
some. We'll get you some rainbows back here. I don't know which mode is a rainbow.
Ah, so that's the stick you. I was thinking like, what are those sticks for? I'm like,
It's just to like so you can enjoy the content but not look at my face the whole time, right? You could just
yeah,
appreciate something else in the background.
because I was thinking like, you want to hypnotize me or something with that.
I'm doing that change
One thing,
fatigue, change fatigue, change. They're trying to make all the audience members not want to click away, right? They're
yeah,
too fatigued. They just have to sit in their current, suck through an hour of this.
like we sucking their souls through this
Uh-huh.
YouTube.
A quality podcast, a quality podcast.
Go with Jake. Go with Jake.
John's going to be so upset he missed this one. John, wherever you are in the world, we miss you. I'll pour one out for my
Yeah.
homies who can't be here tonight.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, okay, back to the postmortem, right? Right. I mean, I was thinking, well, actually, I'm also maybe a little bit guilty using that term many times when I was
Mm-hmm.
thinking consulting work. But and then at one point, change fatigue comes in, and I think, why postmortem? What happened to lesson learned?
You don't get to learn and actually change anything if it's dead.
Yeah,
Right?
what happened to lesson learned? Why we use postmortem? I'm like,
Uh,
anyway, yeah, they said that. Yeah, but that's the thing, Jake. I mean, like, in terms of like doing change initiative, right? You got you have the triggers, and then when it started, you have to prioritize it, right? And then when it's happening in the process or the change every kind of change initiative, then you have to make a milestones there and then celebrate every little milestones there. And then after that, again, not post-mortem,
mhm.
but freeze it and then take a step back and then go through with even though you give like how to say grace period or whatever you
Mhm.
want to call it, like 3 months, or maybe if like a big project, make it 6 months, but put it in your project plan. Like just like make sure your change management or project managers are secure enough, right? Confident enough to say that, okay, let's have a 3 months freeze period, and then let's see what happens with our initiative. What are the impacts? Is it really happening or not? And if not, then you might improve again, but try not to do the whole engineering thing. Improve, right? Enhance, improve.
It's the Demaic
Yeah,
cycle applied to people's mentality. Like there's a C there, right? You have to have a period after your project. You're actually controlling what those
yeah,
outcomes are.
yeah. Agree. So the C part, right? The controlling part, sometimes it's like what happens. Like I told you, people are become anxious, right? Because they are okay. The controlling part, are they trying to control everything else, everything, or like because something you can actually can control, you can influence that. It's good, right? You can manage that. But if it's happening outside your circle of control, your circle of influence, then it's your circle of concern. I think it's like Stephen Covey or something saying that your circle of influence and circle of concern, right? is your in circle of influence, then you can control it. You can influence that. But it's like in your circle of concern, nothing you can do about it. One thing that you can do about it is like, how are you going to reacting to that circle of concern? I mean, like you can control like, okay, this is like something that I can if I can share, like a project implementing the ERP, the SAP, right? So at this project, after we implement it like and go live for like several months, then people are resigning. It's like, okay, and everybody, even the top leaders, top management, directly saying that, oh, it's because that this project is a failure. Like people are resigning because they don't want to use the system, everything else. But luckily, we already did several kind of pulse survey with employees, right?
You
And we,
avoided post-mortem there. I appreciate
yeah,
it.
pulse survey, right? It's before and after. Where the after part is not postmortem, but we're talking about the post survey, right? And then in that surveys, we actually find out that these employees, the user that impacted by the new system, actually experiencing not only one big changes, but they're experiencing like three major changes. So the first one is the ERP implementation itself. The second one is they are going through like this balance scorecard kind of things project, right? And the third part is actually they are moving locations for their offices. And after our post survey, it's actually the third part is the main reason why people are resigning. So like we have the proof here, we have the data here. People are resigning not because of the projects, but first because, okay, in change management, people can experience maximum two major changes at the same time before they experience change fatigue and burnout, right? Or before they break. And here they are experiencing three major changes because the locations is quite far. It's like in different postcodes, the offices. So like people are resigning not because of the projects, because they have to move the offices. And people already like the one that working 5 years, 10 years more, and they already built their life around that company. They're moving their family and they're renting their houses near that office, the old office. Now they have to move. And then so that's the thing. You never realize what's happening. You never know what a user experiencing every day, frequently, right? So that's why sometimes you have to step back and take a look and then reassess again. So that's one story that I can share.
I love it. I'll tell you specific to ERP, not that this is an ERP conversation, that has consistently been a recurring theme in my life. Is I get involved with a place that we just started this new system and it sucks. And it doesn't solve the need of whatever's happening. Different players have different problems in different silos of the organization. It's used as not a primary stressor, but generally, like you said, a secondary or a tertiary stressor for other issues they've had for a long time, right? Like it illuminates, oh, I always hated that HR department, or accounting has always sucked and got that wrong. And now that stress is brought to life by the ERP, right? It's not necessarily that the ERP is doing anything wrong. It's that it wasn't aligned specifically to how they used to do business. And that could be for good or bad reasons, right? And it's usually a holistic approach, but that's why so many people say ERP implementations fail, people suck, industry 4.0 all the way. But I don't know why I did that sign. Take from that what you will. Industry 4.0.
Okay. I better use this sign, right?
Industry 4.0, baby. Don't even know what it's supposed to be. Interpret that as you will. Albert, any closing thoughts you would like to leave the world today for how they can fight change fatigue?
Okay. First of all, the way that you do project or initiative, you already share, right? Prioritize and then check your milestones. You create a milestone for that, and then freeze the change first, and then reassess the impact, right? But I want to talk also to share about how individually, right? So people are talking about resilience, right? But I just want to add, I mean, like, to handle chest fatigue, not only resilience, but you also need to have persistence. So these both work together. Resilience is something that uh, you every time you fail, you can bounce back again, stronger than ever. That's resilience, right? But persistence, it's what keeps you going. It's what keeps you like, okay, I bounce back. Like I failed 7 times, bounce back 8 times. But what keeps you going? That's persistence. So you need to harness these two, and how you have to have resilience and persistence is like by having your target. Is it even it's like a small target? I mean, our long-term target. If you even if you think like, oh, I'm going to take it one day, one step at a time, one day at a time, it's good. Just keep going, right? But if you have a long target, that's also good. I mean, like, I have to achieve that. I have to become resilient. I have to persistent enough to go to achieve the target. So I think this kind of mental things that you can build, and then you can train. So chest fatigue didn't knock you out of the game.
Something I'm going to mention, the band man that shall not be named, John Thacker. Something he's instilled in me during our time together that I absolutely love is he'll say, motivation is a good soldier, but discipline is the king.
That's the thing. Discipline is with your persistence, and then discipline is there. That's one thing of persistence.
And then that's why my change management, I like the Wing Chun approach, right? I'm always centered and deliberate. I act with discipline each and every day to do whatever it is. And you have to play just as much offense as you do defense, which is something that like makes Wing Chun cool to me, is because that's exactly how it operates.
Nice,
right?
nice.
Yeah. I could geek out about that whole movie in an hour, a whole other time. Like it could just do movie clips with Albert and Jake, and we could, I love it so much, but I always relate it back to work. And you know what I also love every time we connect, which has been a long time in between them, but that we're on opposite ends of the world and opposite industries, going through the exact same thing with people, the exact same thing, not modified. Not, here's the Indonesian way of doing it. No, it's the exact same. Like, humans are the same. We all suck. And whatever we can do to like get better and move that ball forward is what we're here to share with the audience in the world. So thank you very much, Albert, for your time today.
Of course, Jake, anytime.
And just to end it a little better than John does, I'm going to dance and insert some music in here. Apple Maps.